All right. What I'm doing, we're going to do a little bit of footwork and ankle work. This is Athena Jezik. I'm just moving the toes around. You know, ankles are an interesting structure as well. There's a lot of little bones in the ankles. They, along with the feet, guide, and balance through a lot of uneven surfaces. But the interesting thing about the structure is these bones are so mobile, and then the next joint up is just a hinge joint, which has very little play for back and forth. It's just a bending and a straightening. And any movement of the knee going in and out comes from the hip. So when you're doing certain things, lifting certain things, close attention should be paid to the position of the knees and a nice support of the foot on the floor, where there's weight, coming out over the front of the foot, and the back of the foot is not as leaned on, particularly when you're moving forward. Those mechanics I can't really show you and explain very well without demonstrating them. But it is something that we want to begin to become aware of. Movement is so critical to good health. When the body is moving, the body feels better. The body's designed to move. We're not designed really to sit around all day long, even though the lifestyles and the way that society's been structuring itself is putting us into little boxes that we sit, and then we go home and sit and don't do much. And if you even think about some of the weight training stuff that goes on, the type of options that are more popular, that and even jogging, is it's not giving the body a lot of movement in a lot of different directions. It's still pretty mechanical in the way that the body's being developed. I've been thinking a lot about movement lately. I always get these ideas from my own body, and I've been noticing that I've changed a little bit of dietary practices, and I've noticed that my movement, which I do regularly at a pretty high capacity, has changed. I have a lot more endurance. I have a lot more flexibility, even though I'm not as flexible as I was when I was younger. And I find that it's very enjoyable. I'm also finding much more of an awareness of the movement, and an awareness of where everything is placed, where all the bones are placed, which muscles are in play for doing the movement. Yoga is something good to do for flexibility, but it's not really an exercise for flexibility. Actually, yoga is more for the inner work, the core strengthening. There's different things, at least in Austin, there's a lot of different dancing and that kind of movement that's out there being offered, which is great fun. And I think that would be a really good thing for people in society to begin to do. It's a good social thing, particularly if the model is changed and we're not dancing while we're drunk, or if we're just there having a good time, exercising ourselves, getting our breathing to increase, moving around, and also having fun with people. It's a very healthy thing to engage in. But there is a lot of components. It's more than just physical health. It's also emotional health and mental health. And we're responsible for all of it. So I'm going from foot to foot because I'm playing more with the ankle and just checking things out on both sides at the same time. I'm going to be getting into the cuboid here. The cuboid bone is this little bone down here behind the 5th metatarsal bone. It's shaped like a cube, and if you can grab a hold of that, and without a lot of force, without a lot of effort, and just see how that wants to align. That bone seems to be responsible for a lot of the other placement for the other bones. I don't really know why, but I just know what I've noticed with this cuboid bone and with my attention on it, allowing it to correct. It does oftentimes play into the knee, which of course would play into the hip. Today's videos, I was going through a lot of the movements fairly quickly, but I will say that a lot of the work to be real effective in it, particularly for those of you who are in the field, is to take your time with it and really get in there and feel what's going on. Now, working with muscles, that's a certain system, but if you're getting into the fascial unwinding or the stretching and feeling where these restrictions are at that level, that takes a lot more concentration and a lot more patience and a lot more time. The body is always wanting to move towards correction. It doesn't want to move out of correction, which is why working with the body in a way of allowing it to do the reorganizing and following it, respecting it for what its consciousness is and what it knows it has to do, is a much more effective way than getting in there and figuring it out, thinking we can figure it out. Sometimes more forceful type things are important, but the attention has also got to be remembered to go to the subtle anatomy, which is the structure underneath all of that. And there are ways of feeling it, there are ways of knowing that it's correcting. It gets into work that's still touching the physicality, but the energy, you begin to understand the energy working. You can learn how to work with your energy, pushing it in to the body or pulling it out of the body or being very neutral on the body. And that is something that is possible, as many of you may be skeptical of that sort of thing. It's only because you haven't had the time to explore it or to examine it. And so I would ask that you would not judge it until you have a chance to understand it. That shows wisdom. That shows a willingness to learn. And that also shows that the mind isn't become too focused on something that we've been told, but rather we're doing our own thinking and our own explanation about it. There's a lot of other treatments out there for a lot of things. And we've just got to begin to tap into that and realize our own responsibilities for feeling good. Foot and ankle work, just a little rotation stuff, just feeling around, just moving it around, just exploring it, seeing where it feels it's amiss. Here's a little cracking going on right here. And letting it align itself. And we have nice movement here in the ankles, back and forth, up and down, circular, little bit of, there we go. Okay, back and forth, up and down, circular. There's a little catch here she's got, which would probably need to be worked from the knee. There, it's not doing that now. Okay. Alrighty. I think this balmy day has put Corrina to sleep.